all the viewers and listeners. This afternoon, I'm here to give a briefing on the cabinet decisions taken at the cabinet meeting held on Tuesday, the 5th of August, 2025. The first cabinet decision is Namibia's application for membership to the Nuclear Suppliers Group. Cabinet approved the application for Namibia to become a member of the Nuclear Suppliers Group. Cabinet also then further directed the Ministry of International Relations and Trade to coordinate the technical updates to the dossier and to act as a focal point and to further establish an interministerial committee tasked with implementing the NSG's guidelines. In addition, Cabinet further approved for a delegation at ministerial level to follow up and lobby the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency and the chairperson of the NSG on the margins of the General Conference in Vienna, Austria, to favorably consider Namibia's application to become a member of this Nuclear Suppliers Group. Cabinet authorized the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy to establish a national independent regulator and mechanisms of safeguards, safety and security. The second cabinet decision is the strengthening and relaunch of the National Right Start Early Childhood Development ECD program. Cabinet approved for this program to be reignited in efforts to change behavior and as a platform from which it can be relaunched on the 7th of August 2025, which is today. Cabinet directed the Ministry of Gender Equality and Child Welfare, Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Arts and Culture, Health and Social Services to integrate Right Start into strategic and annual plans with a budgetary provision of 1.5 million for each OMA per annum over 5 years. Furthermore, Cabinet directed all OMAs and regional councils to nominate a Right Start focal person. Cabinet supported a high-level advocacy of the Right Start program through Cabinet, Parliament, the governors, regional and local authorities, the private sector, civil society organizations, and through the traditional leaders across the country. The third cabinet decision is the bycatch management in Namibia's fisheries sector. Cabinet approved for the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform to impose actionable measures to reduce bycatch levels and implementation of the following measures to safeguard Namibia's marine resources. 1. The implementation of a 2% bycatch threshold allowable to be retained by the company, and bycatchers exceeding this 2% threshold will be liable for bycatch fees and forfeiture at no cost to the government for governmental objectives. 2. To increase the bycatch percentage fees from 15% as it stands to 50% as per Section 44 of the Marine Resources Act of 2000. Third, license revocation for habitual offenders, as well as license suspensions, either temporary or permanently, depending on the severity of those violations. 4, quota deductions for severe violations. In case of severe or repeated violations, authorities should have the power to confiscate fishing gear or even seize the vessels. Furthermore, in the event if a fishery exceeds by its bycatch limits, the excess should be deducted from its future quotas. And lastly, for the annual public listing of bycatch violators to be published in order to discourage non-compliance. I'd also like to add here that the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform will give an expanded explanation around this cabinet decision. The fourth cabinet decision is the Transfrontier Conservation Area Summit of SADC heads of states and government held on the 23rd of May 2025 in Harare in the Republic of Zimbabwe. Cabinet took note of the outcome of this summit, as well as additionally, Cabinet took note of the implementation of the resolutions of the summit as follows. First, the improved well-being and rural livelihoods in the transfrontier conservation areas. Second, the transboundary biodiversity management. Third, marine transboundary conservation areas. Fourth, a SADC law enforcement anti-poaching strategy implementation. And finally, sustainable financing of the transfrontier conservation areas and increasing responsible tourism and business investments in these areas. The next cabinet decision is a report on Namibia's participation in the 123rd United Nations Tourism Executive Council Ministers Meeting held between the 29th to the 30th of May 2025 in Segovia, Madrid, Spain. Cabinet took note of Namibia's participation as well as the outcomes of this meeting. Cabinet further took note of the decision of the 123rd UNWTO Executive Council meeting to recommend the appointment of Sheikha Nasser Al Nowais from the United Arab Emirates as the Secretary General to the General Assembly for a period of 3 years starting the year 2026 to the year 2029. The next cabinet decision is the 20th ordinary session of the African Ministerial Conference on the Environment held in Nairobi, Kenya from the 14th to the 18th of July. Cabinet took note of the outcomes of this particular meeting and recommendations adopted as follows. Namibia to serve as co-champions alongside South Africa to advocate for the importance of addressing drought management and resilience through a drought protocol under the United Nations Convention to Combat Drought, Desertification, and Land Degradation. Second, the strengthening of climate finance and budgeting mechanisms. Third, to advance circular economy and waste management reforms. Next, to support the global plastics treaty negotiations, as well as enhancing ecosystem and wetland protection, as well as promoting clean energy and responsible mineral governance, and coordinating Namibia's positions for COP30 on climate change and COP17 to come in the year, towards the end of this year and the year to come. The last cabinet decision is a report on Namibia's participation in the 4th Southern Africa Regional Ministerial Steering Committee meeting held in Lilongwe, Malawi from the 24th to the 25th of July. Cabinet took note of Namibia's participation, outcomes, and resolutions of the 4th Southern Africa Regional Ministerial Steering Committee meeting held in Malawi. Cabinet approved for Namibia to host the 5th Southern Africa Regional Ministerial Steering Committee in 2026 and the establishment of a multi-sectorial organizing committee led by the Ministry of Health and Social Services. Finally, Cabinet acknowledged the recognition of the former Minister of Health and Social Services, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, for his leadership and contributions to public health, as well as the appointment of the current Minister, Dr. Esperance Luvindal, as the Lusaka Agenda Champion for Southern Africa, and congratulated the former and current Minister for these great achievements on behalf of Namibia. Grace, dear viewers and listeners, this concludes the cabinet decisions held at the 16th cabinet meeting held on Tuesday, the 5th of August 2025, and as chaired by Her Excellency, the President, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. Thank you very much.